Welcome back to Trackside Northeast. I'm your host, Joe Cortese. I'm joined today by Jake Vanada. He is the Truck Series champion over at Seekonk. Jake, it's a pleasure to finally get you in here. We're going through all the champions, and we reached out to you about a month ago or so, and little bit of a hiccup. We tried to get him in here, but you had another child on the way, so way more important.
Yes, certainly did, and thank God everyone's here and healthy. It was a journey of a year with the wife being pregnant and everything else, but thank God it all worked out.
Oh, that's fantastic! Right before the holidays too. We're coming up to Thanksgiving. We got a lot. You're getting ready for the turkey. Are you white or dark?
Dark
All the way.
day.
I'm the same way.
Yeah,
Yep.
Too dry. White, too dry.
Too dry for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, my father used to put ketchup on it. Different story.
Wow.
Totally. Yeah. Oh yeah. There was a lot of things he used to put ketchup on. So, all right, let's get right into it. So let's start off with the racing origins. Jake, let's talk about how you first got into racing. I mean, you got a big family involved in it, but did you wake up and you were just ready to go right when you were born, or was there a specific moment in your life that kind of got you into the sport?
Well, back in the 80s, my dad raced street stocks and at Seekonk. And, over the years, we'd watch it on TV on Sundays or whatever. And then finally, to my memory, of course, I started going there probably before I could remember anything. But I went to Seekonk and, played the Matchbox cars and all that. And then, I think 03, I started to get really interested. Probably 01, actually. I started to get really interested in it. And then we started to go to shops, and some friends of my dad that he had connections with through the years and would go to the shops and hang out. And I really started to get interested in it then. And then we found a little go-kart track up in Ware, New Hampshire, called Sugar Hill Speedway. And me and many others actually still got our start there. And some really fond memories there. And kind of climbed through the years, moved on to Allison Legacy cars, and traveled all over the East Coast, but mostly the Northeast. And then, basically from there, a variety of divisions at Seekonk, and that's been it since 08. So,
man, you've just been racing ever since. So,
Yeah.
All right, so you got 2 kids now,
Yeah.
very young. Are they already ready? Are you already grew? I mean, I've seen your little girl in the car, so I'm like, oh, I can already see the next generation coming in. But is that something that you'd want your kids to maybe follow in the footsteps?
Yeah, I would. It's taught me a lot of values about hard work and the rewards of persistence and all those things. And those are really the values I try to teach to my daughter's 3. I mean, I don't want to get carried away, but those are the things I still already try to teach her. She's with us all the time, so I think I definitely would. And my youngest daughter, Lainey, is a week and a half, so...
long way away, but you never can start too early, right?
We're just working one feeding to another now.
Exactly. So how has your racing journey evolved? You mentioned over a decade of trying to win a championship. So out of all the racing you've done, what is some of the bigger points that you've evolved with over the years that got you to this point of winning a championship?
Well, it started at Seekonk. It started in 07. I said 08. We ran a late model part-time in 07. Struggled in 08. We bought a really competitive pro stock in the off-season 07 to 08. We ran that for a few years. And, I learned a lot through those years because that car was really good. It was a really fast car. But we learned the value of having it set up right and working on it and putting the time into it. And so those are really formative years in my career. And that kind of transitioned into, a new era technologically, which kind of put us behind again. So, it's like, oh, we caught up and then now we're behind again. And that was, probably 2011, 12 through, honestly, 2016, 17 to 19 in the pro stocks. And then that's when we started truck racing, was end of 2019 season, because just the pro stocks got astronomical for us. And just a lot of changes, stuff to keep up with, and it just became too much. But I would say those early years in the pro stocks were really, they were growing years for us, and those were really fond memories too.
And talking about changes, you had some mechanical issues earlier on in the year. So what really got you to, keep going, keep that drive going? I mean, you had years of experience before coming in. You finally got a championship, but specifically for the 2025 year, you had those mechanical issues. Is you going through your head? Is it like, oh no, another one of these years where we're going to try to keep pushing from the back? Like, what were your thoughts going through that?
I would say for sure. I mean, the beginning of the year, we had we put a lot of work into in the off season, and everyone does. But we had some notes that I really trusted, and we went back on, and we showed up in the spring, and it was immediate success really as far as lap times and the practices and stuff. So we were really optimistic, and we thought, okay, I thought we're in a good place. We're in the best place we've been in the trucks and maybe in racing coming into a year. So practices were good, everything was consistent, and then we showed up opening day. We broke a rocker stud, so we had to the key was to answer your question. The key was not to panic. Honestly, years of experience of struggling and things like that happening, and all those years of that put us in a place where it's like, okay, don't panic. And I don't think we ever really panicked all year. We had a lot of moments like that. Of course, the first 2 weeks were the most eye-opening, but after that, we battled for a month with electrical issues we couldn't find. And when you have electrical issues in a race car, you'll chase them forever. So we chased them for a month after that, and luckily they didn't show up during points-paying events. It was always a practice, and it's like, oh no, and we chased that for a while. So I think that the struggling over the years really conditioned us to be like, okay, let's not panic. And we're a veteran crew. My dad, Ron, Dave, we've been together for, 10, 15 years consecutively. My dad, obviously 23, but the rest of the guys, 10, 15 years. So you go through a lot, and it gets you to a point where you'll be all right,
Yeah, oh yeah. And when you got that experience and that, that support right next to you, it's like, that's all you really need at some point or the other, especially in anything in life. You have that support of a great cast. You can do things that you never imagined.
Right, absolutely. And the dynamics of a team are, I would say the functionality of it is very different in auto racing. You're not relying on the guy next to you to catch a ball or throw a ball or cover his guy. You're relying on him in a much different way. But in the end, it's the same. It's a team dynamic. So.
Now, at what point did you feel this year that you were finally you were in that spot where you were like, I'm going to win this championship?
When I came off of turn 4.
I was wondering, I was like, was this premeditated like a race before, or was this the last one
No. I mean, there were moments throughout the year of obviously a lot of reflection, getting ready for the big speech next month, in 2 months, but a lot of reflection and stuff like that. And I think, the biggest moments that come to mind were, I made a bad adjustment. I can't remember which race it was, but we were probably, I don't know, there's probably 3 or 4 races until the chase. I made a bad adjustment. We were able to get in the right lanes. And ended up finishing third with probably, 6th, 7th place truck. So it's like the cards fall your way. I ended up following Ricky on a restart. He finished, I think, second. I finished third. And then that was a huge moment. And then we started, I think it was 2 races before the chase, somewhere around there. We started 13th and we won. And I mean, you don't do that by accident. A lot of good fortune. You got to get in the right lanes and hope the guy in front of you goes and, but you start 13th and you win. It's not an accident in the trucks. It was a 25-lap race. It wasn't an extra distance race. You're passing a lot of cars.
Oh, so. Yeah. I mean, you got to come all the way from the back, and that's a long race. And short track, too. You know how fast. I mean, you got to get up there quick.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so last question I have for you before we hit the break. I mean, you talked a little bit about it, but, how crucial is it to have a crew and that work that they put into to get yourself even in the position to be in that final spot in the final race? How important is it for the crew throughout the entire year to work together?
It's essential. It's everything, especially when you have years. I mean, this wasn't the road wasn't paved for us, really. Like I said, and you highlighted earlier, especially early in the year. So and it's you see what goes on Saturdays when you go to the track, but the races are won Sunday through Friday. If you're racing Saturday nights, the races are won Sunday through Friday, and that's relying on different guys who have different skills. From, of course, working on the vehicle, to flying around, picking up parts for us, saving me hours at a time when I'm in an era of my life where I don't have that time to fly around, picking stuff up.
Outside of, the toys all around the house. And
for sure. Even in this day and age, you need, you got to be fair to your sponsors. You got to be fair to all the people that help you and have social media people almost now. And I have great social media people. So it's really a team effort. And even, obviously my wife and my mom, allowing me, I don't like using the word allowing, but, allowing me in a sense to work on the truck and keep an eye on my daughter in the garage. It all goes into it. It just takes a lot of people.
Oh man, huge effort. Well, hey, it paid off. It absolutely paid off this year, and it's awesome to have you in here. So, hey, we'll be back in less than 2 minutes. We'll talk more about the season as a whole, championship, and I want to get your thoughts on Closer Crick Martin. We finally got past him on that winning edge, and that's going to feel good. So we'll have more of a conversation on the other side. We had Rick in on the show earlier on. If you want to check it out, check us out on the WPRI 12 Plus TV app under local, and you can see all the Trackside Northeast Racing episodes we have there. I still don't know what number we're on. I think it's 30. I think it's close to that.
Keep it going.
Keep it going. That's what we're going to do. We'll be right back in less than 2 minutes. All right, back here again with Trackside Northeast. I'm your host, Joe Cortese, joined by Jake Vanada, the Truck Series champion over at Seekonk. Jake, consistency over wins. We were talking a little bit, read the article over at Seekonk Speedway. The article highlights how consistency was key to your championship, but I want to ask how you strike a balance between being fast and steady night in and night out when you're racing.
Well, it's an interesting question actually, because the balance of fast and steady nowadays, I feel like is more. It's harder to achieve than ever. So you're on that. The line is just so fine. So it's like I said, I touched base in the previous segment about when we finished third, and the truck was not great, but I think that comes with experience, a deep notebook, which we have, and really good notes, and just attention to detail and not over adjusting like we did that night, essentially. But I think that's really what it comes down to is that really taps into more the technical, end of it. But the driver has to be consistent as far as on track actions, I'd say, and keep the thing out of trouble, so you can keep improving, and it's a balance of all those things that get you where you need to be.
Now you have a lot going through your mind, so pressure is always a conversation that comes up throughout your racing career, and then we'll go specifically into 2025. Is there any, how do you get into that mindset and kind of, do you have a ritual? Do you have a pregame, thing that you do, or pre-race, I should say, that you kind of gets those nerves calmed away, or is there maybe a particular person that helps you calm your nerves before a race?
Honestly, it's not a really concerted effort. I don't pay attention to it every week, but it's more take a deep breath, say the driver's prayer from Racing with Jesus, and let's go. That's pretty much probably it. I've been doing it, since I was a kid though. So it's natural. You got to come to terms with it. And I didn't really, ironically enough, we won the championship this year, but I didn't really come to terms with whatever happens out there happens, until probably this year. So ironically enough, maybe it's a coincidence, maybe it's not. But the reset of the emotions and stuff like that, it's just kind of staying focused on the prize, because I know too well now that you usually beat yourself if you lose. So.
Interesting, yeah, because I feel like it's it's a whole team effort, but at the end of the day, you're the driver in the car, and I feel like that's the mentality where you have to kind of get in, where it's like, I'm racing, I have my team work on it, but if you beat yourself up, anything in life in general, that's what's kind of, they always say, what's that, your biggest enemy is the one right between your two ears.
You got that
it's right up in here. So, all right, let's go over a little bit specifically in this season, and, racing the season finale. What's going through your mind? Rick Martin's a good friend of yours. You guys have had battles throughout your career. What's going through your mind where it's coming down to you two in your final race? What kind of thought do you go, I know you guys are friends and you talk and everything. Is there something in your mind where you're just like, all right, all friends are off. I got to make sure how do you compartmentalize between that when you get into a race?
Yeah, it's tricky. With Rick and I think we both just wanted it to be clean in the end. We had Dane Saratelli and Ethan Heilborn too in the chase. So, Rick and I have done this, I think we're the only guys that have done it, been qualified for the chase all 3 years, I'm pretty sure. So, I made it to the final four, the last three of the last four, and Rick, of course, did all four. But there's certain things that really matter a lot, and there's certain things that don't, and you kind of do just have to compartmentalize it. I still, my values though are still in racing. I don't want to wreck the guy to win the race, so I don't want to wreck the guy to win the championship. I wanted a championship. You can ask my family, as bad as anything at Seekonk Speedway. That's what I wanted. A lot of people want to be professional baseball players, professional whatever. I wanted to win a championship at my local track, so it was everything. But you do compartmentalize it, but just kind of maintain the same values. And Ricky feels the same way. We've talked about it. So it's not really, you don't go out there and drive through people for your own benefit. That's really what it comes down to. So, that was the approach. And, a lot of racing, hey, we put the work in, like I say, Sunday through Friday, and we're going to see what happens Saturday. So went our way that night. Thank goodness.
Absolutely. Now tell me a little bit. So, you were kind of hitting it and segueing into the next question I had for you is when you see the younger generation racing, not specifically at Seekonk, but around, do you see the mistakes that they make that maybe you made in the past? And, is there ever a time where you talk to them about it and be like, hey, racing, rubbing's racing. It's an old school saying, but it's also, as you come from, and as Rick has said before as well, you want it to be clean. You do not want to wreck somebody finishing the race. It's just, it kind of feels like cheating your way to a win. So when you see the younger generation racing around, have you ever seen anyone who maybe is a little too aggressive, and if, I don't know, you take them aside or anything or talk to them, or have you ever noticed somebody, it's like, oh no, that's just a youngin's mistake. It's not really the way they race or their style. I mean, we can go all the way up to Cup Series, Hocevar and Ross Chastain, how they, like some people grow out of it, others, they take it and run with it. But my question really surrounds the younger generation and seeing them. I mean, do you watch the younger generation and see the mistakes they make and just kind of filter between maybe like, is that their style of racing, or is that just, the way it kind of fell or way it kind of panned out, or a lesson they could learn?
Yeah, I do try to help them for sure. I pick and choose, honestly. I mean,
and rightfully
I want to
so.
help. I want to help who, not for my own benefit or my own detriment either way, but more I want to help who I think is going to use it and be receptive. And so if I at all think you're going to be receptive and take my advice, I absolutely will give it to you. There's a couple guys in the division, young guys that are really like a lot, they're good kids, and I want to see them do well. So you try to help them. Ricky helped me, Ricky and I mean, I raced with Ricky for 17 years, like we talk about the trucks, it's all people, of course, that's where we're living now. But, I raced Pro Stock since 2008. So our relationship probably wasn't as good then as it is now, but people like Ricky, and I owe it to the younger generation. I had amazing help coming up from on track to off track. I constantly had, older drivers in my ear. So I definitely owe it to, that younger generation. And I try to continue it on, because we got to keep the racing thing going, and just sitting there and no one talking to each other is not going to help anything.
Exactly. And you got to be, it's a friendly, it can get heated. We've seen it, but it's one of those things where everyone's there with the same, I can't say that everyone's there with the same, a goal. I would say they all want to win. Everyone wants to win. That's the desire and why you get into racing. But last question I have for you before we hit the break: how good did it feel when Rick put that the crown on you at the end? I thought the interview was over. I'm watching it, and then all of a sudden I see he popped up with the crown. How'd that feel when you got that?
Well, it's funny. You watch the replay of the race. I watch all of them many times, but I see him after the race. I saw him try to pull up to congratulate me, and there was another car in between us, so he kind of bailed. And then I'm like, all right, we'll catch him later, or whatever. And then I'm out there, and then all of a sudden I see him. I think I was sitting in the truck still, and I see him drive by. I'm like, oh boy. I'm like, oh, all right. Maybe it's just because we know it's his last race, and they want to say a few words, and all that. And then all of a sudden I see him walk up, and he's trying to hide the crown from me, He's trying to hide the crown, and I'm like, I see it. I'm like, oh boy. So it felt amazing, though. I mean, honestly, it really did. I mean, there's not many people I would feel as good about as I did Rick, receiving that from.
Yeah, man, it's pretty special, and it just shows the local connections around here, and what makes Seekonk Racetrack such a great place to go. I mean, you see it all the time. You see the drivers, you see the fans. Everyone's got a story. Everyone's got, and there can be some heated moments, but I think when cooler heads prevail, there's a lot of love there. I think I can say there's a lot of love there between every different side of the atmosphere. So
yeah, absolutely.
All right, we're going to be coming back in less than 2 minutes. We'll get more of the inside information here with Jake. We're going to talk about other things that he may like, which would be a surprise outside of racing, because seems like you're a real gearhead and you really know everything about it and you love about it. But we'll talk a little bit more when we come back in less than 2 minutes right here on Trackside Northeast. All right, back here again, Trackside Northeast, joined by Jake Vanada. We're about to get his social security number, bank account information. This is where all the personal stuff comes out, so get ready. All right, you ready? Yeah. Hey, I would do it, but there's not much in there. I always tell if somebody wants to scam me, go ahead. There ain't much in there. But all right.
Same.
That's the best way to avoid a scam. Just don't have a lot about it. You're fine. Yeah. All right, so let's talk a little bit about, you just have a newborn. You've got another. So tell me a little bit about your family and your dynamic throughout the racing season. What it takes for a family member to be involved with a racer like yourself. The dedication, everything. I'm sure it's a lot, but talk to me a little bit about how the family support really helps you out in racing.
Well, I would say my wife and I started our family at the end of 22 after that racing season. Essentially, our first daughter was born. And it's ironic because I think we've had our best performance since then, So I don't know why that is. It's probably just a coincidence, like I was saying. But
it's those dad powers, those super dad.
Yeah,
powers.
I guess it's something to do with that. But first it starts with my wife. I think as far as that goes, because when we talk about family, the things closest to me right now are my kids. So. We got to make sure they're cared for. We got to make sure, that racing does not get in the way of their upbringing, us supporting them, everything. And their needs, of course, right now, they're toddlers and newborns. But it starts with my wife and my mom. They chase her around every shop night, which usually it's 2 shop nights a week. We usually try to eat together, and it's my dad, needless to say, well, not needless to say, but it's automatic is my point. He's been with me since the beginning, and whenever there was a gap that needed to be filled, there he is. So it goes there, and then it goes to our extended family too, which it might be corny, but it's factual. That's Ron Boris, Dave Gilbert, these guys, they've been with me forever, and they're like family too. Like I was saying earlier in the show, it's I need parts picked up, and that takes 2 hours out of my time. They're there for me, and racing takes so much time and commitment if you want to do it right. You can race and not work on the truck or not unload it or not unload the car or whatever, but it takes so much time, and really it takes a lot of focus, uninterrupted focus to make sure things are right. And you can go out there with full confidence as a driver and know, either my guys or myself, we did it right. And you can't do it without your family, especially nowadays, for me.
Kids, if you're watching that bite right there, that's it. That was exactly, if you're looking to get into racing, that is exactly the right way to do it. And hey, it's worked out for you. You're champion now, and you got a great family in racing. So let's get switching off racing a little bit. Any other things that you like? Any hobbies? Anything you do outside of racing? Even if it's collecting cars or anything like that. But anything, what gets your gears moving outside the racetrack?
I'm so in the weeds with racing that sometimes it's hard to see outside of the weeds, but. We're huge New England Patriot fans in our house. Of course, a lot of people are around here. So, go to a lot of games. Haven't been to many this year, but we go to a lot of games normally. That's the biggest thing, camping and our off weeks in the summer, which there aren't many. My wife has anointed me a Disney person, so I'm a Disney person, I guess. And I'm sure I'm missing some stuff, but we spend a lot of time racing. I mean, we're a racing family, so it's we're deep into it, My dad, I think my dad would love to collect cars. Speaking of collecting cars, I think my dad would love to, but he just collects race cars because of me.
hey, one way or the other. All right, back to racing though. If you could race any driver, past or present, for one race, who would it be and why?
Been super fortunate to race a lot of my heroes. So this is a really tough question. Yeah. I thought about it, and this is a really tough question. But I would say there was one of my heroes that I learned 90% of my stuff from, and that was Vinny Anarumo. Okay. And I never did race him because he didn't retire. He was out of pro stocks. That's why we got his pro stock, and he was so generous to share his notes. He was out of the game. But it would probably be Vinny, and that would be really memorable. But I've been really fortunate, Joe, to race with so many of my heroes: Rick Martin, Dick Houlihan, even Dave Darling. I raced with David a lot over the years. I've raced with some really amazing short track drivers around here. So I've had cool, even on a like not a national level, but Northeast, like Ben Rowe, Mike Rowe. I've raced with those guys in the past for a few times. So I've been lucky.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the other cool thing about, this is why local racing is so cool and so important. You could race your heroes. Yeah. You just got to, get involved, talk to people, and figure out the way and the way it operates, the landscape of it, which you have plenty of experience. All right, so we talked a little bit about rituals and superstitions. Really, last question I have is anyone else you want to thank or any other spots? At Vanada Racing, I believe, is where people can find you.
Yeah, at Vanada Racing.
At Vanada Racing, yes.
Yep, at Vanada Racing, VANADA, and then Racing. Instagram and Facebook. I got to thank Everett's Auto Parts and Roy Andrade. Just an incredible sponsor. It's been such a blessing to be teamed up. Roy called us after the 23 season we had, and he wanted us to join the team, and we joined the team with our stuff, and it's just been amazing. Watermark Electric, projected to perform, bumper to bumper accessories, Viking Sheet Metal, JDV Productions, Bethesda Leadership Group, and last but not least, Haggerty Construction. I have some amazing people.
That's awesome. Well, hey, maybe we'll get your brother Josh in here, and we'll do a little Jake and Josh segment.
Yeah,
and that would be.
I'm sure would love to do that.
That would be a blast. Yeah. So we'll definitely put that on the slate for next season. That would be a fun time. I'm also trying to get Kyle Souza, and I got to talk to Brady. Maybe get them in here before the season. We can preview some stuff and talk about where the show's going and everything going on. Don't forget, we have Best of Series coming up in December. We're going to have different segments coming up. I believe it's going to be the last 3 weeks. I'll get that figured out next week. Also got to get Charlie Rosen here, but he's a fisherman. It's a tough one. He's got a lot going on.
It'll be worth the wait.
Absolutely. So Jake, I appreciate you coming in. It's been a blast. Definitely one of my better interviews throughout the year. I mean, it was one of those things we just clicked real quick, man. It's fun conversations, and I'd love to get you back in here and talk more about local racing and what makes it great. Congratulations on the championship. the newborn, and I hope you have a great holiday season. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone else out there as well.
Thanks, you too, and happy holidays to everyone. And thank you for what you're doing for short track racing around here.
Absolutely. We're going to keep it going. All right, I'm your host, Joe Cortese, Trackside Northeast. Questions, comments, concerns, hit me an email at jcortez@WPRI.com. Be safe, be well, most importantly, be kind. Everyone has their own personal battle behind a closed curtain. Have a great holiday season.